Welcome to Barbecue Catering Smarts, the go-to podcast for barbecue operators looking to grow and streamline their catering operations. Every episode, we're serving up expert advice, proven systems, and flavorful strategies straight from top leaders in the barbecue and catering world. So fire up the pit. It's time for another sizzling episode.
Hello again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Barbecue Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Dale Lockwood, owner and pitmaster of Hickory Barbecue and Grill. Dale has spent years in the trenches building a barbecue business rooted in craft, consistency, and community, turning slow smoke barbecue into a scalable operation that performs just as well offsite as it does in the restaurant. From managing the realities of high-volume catering to protecting food quality, team execution, and the brand experience, Dale brings a pit-level owner-operator perspective on what it really takes to run a successful barbecue catering program, and we're excited to have him on the show today. But before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, CaterZen Catering Software. They help barbecue restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why barbecue restaurants trust CaterZen to save them time and increase catering sales. Go to caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software. Now let's dive into this episode of Barbecue Catering Smarts. Welcome, Dale. How's it going?
Unbelievable. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here today. Super excited to have you on. Let's go ahead and get a number between 1 and 300. I want to do an icebreaker question.
55.
55. What's the most interesting piece of trivia you know?
The difference between hot holding and cooking.
Okay, explain.
Hot holding is at 100 and I hope I got this right. Anything over 150, I think technically, and internally we say it's 155, but that's because I want to take in consideration
Got you.
opening and closing doors, but
Right.
that should be the difference. Anything above that is cooking, and anything below that is just holding. Like,
Okay.
it might be 145. It's been a while.
It's been a long time for me. I'm sure I've got a thermometer someplace in my kitchen,
Yeah.
but it's been a long time. It's been a long time. So you're out of Brighton, Michigan. Is that where you're based out of?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's where we're based out of right now.
I looked up your city. My fiance is from Farwell, Michigan. Do you know where that is?
Okay. Yeah.
Claire?
Like out by Lansing.
No, like right outside of Claire.
Oh, out of Claire. I know I've been to a bar in Farwell and Friends Bar or something back in the day.
Yeah, well, it's probably gone. I think Hammer and Hanks is the bar in town now. 800 people in Farwell. So what's funny is I was up there till December 20th. The deal was that I'd stay up there till December 20th, and then she would become a snowbird. So now I'm officially a snowbird. We'll be in Michigan in the summers. And you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah. Yep. We bought a place down here in February near West Palm, and I've been coming here for years. My mom grew up down here, so we have a lot of friends here, and it just made sense. We kind of shut down in the winter.
So when do y'all shut down from?
We're usually busy through the end of the year, and then it doesn't pick back up until March, April.
So
And I don't mean like we're zero, like our doors are closed. We're still open, but we have staff that kind of handles the basic day to day, so we can manage a lot. And my wife does all our estimating with CaterZen, and
awesome.
she's able to do that from here.
Yeah, that's a good thing about software these days. You don't have to be there unless you have a business. Like you said, you have staff. You can't cook remotely and serve remotely, and you can't have a remote restaurant, but there's a lot that you can do. I remember in the early days, QuickBooks, we had to log in remotely to look at it. Now everything's just web-based, and it's on your phone too, so it's crazy.
Even my accountant and everybody is online now. Everything gets pre-done.
For sure. And so are you pretty much there January, February, or you can go back in March? Is that sort of the routine?
So I'm getting ready to leave probably next week to go home for a couple weeks. We're kind of raising our parents right now, or her parents at this point. Mine are gone, but so we're still keeping an eye on that. So we're doing a couple weeks down, a couple weeks off for now, but I'm enjoying the time I had here.
Yeah, well, we're not going back till Memorial Day.
Attaboy.
So she found a Tennessee boy, and so we're very lucky because I got to tell you, the end of December, like if I had been asked to stay through the winter, I probably would have found a tree and a rope. It's tough.
Yeah, especially this year. It's been a rough year up there. I was supposed to go back maybe a week ago, and it was just too cold. I wasn't driving up 75. Yeah.
No, and then Tennessee, we just had an ice storm. We
Yeah.
were in Florida, and we just came back. Power came back on, but still, it's still a lot of ice. Still people without power. So
Yeah. I've got a couple sisters in Tennessee, so I'm always monitoring what's going on there too.
yeah, I could definitely see when you get to a certain age that you can afford to get the heck out of town. You get the heck out.
Yeah. And it might end into my retirement, but it's worth it for me.
Well,
After spending 20 years doing barbecue day and night, it's nice to have a few months off and just sleep and
and
have
relax.
peace.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
bet. So how'd you get started in the barbecue business?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to cook. Um, I went to Votech for it. I used to wake up and make my dad breakfast every morning. And after he died, we all went on a houseboat down in Tennessee on Dale Hollow Lake,
Oh yeah.
and I started making barbecue, and it was great, like, and because I understand recipes and things, I just threw myself into it. Um, right after we got married 36 years ago, once I met my wife, I had to get a real job. So that job ended up becoming a construction business for about 14 years. And I did that. But in 2008, when things got tough, I figured if I'm going to be broke, I want to do what I've always wanted to do. And in Michigan at the time, there was not a lot of barbecue going on.
So
So
how long
building-
did you start off with the restaurant or just doing catering?
I started off with just catering. And since then, we've had, I've helped a number of restaurants and bars kind of create barbecue programs.
Yeah.
And we've had a deli at one point. We had a corporate cafe. And then lately, this last year, or two, might even be three at this point. Up until January of last year, we had a contract with the state of Michigan where we're feeding up to about 1,000 meals a day
Wow.
for a training center that they were doing. So we
Wow.
we scaled way up, way higher than we probably should have been. But we handled it, and it was a great learning experience.
I bet. Well, hopefully you made a few bucks along the way.
Yeah, a few bucks. I got a condo in Florida.
Yeah, well, that was worth it, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming did you start out of your backyard or a commissary kitchen when you started catering?
Yeah, when the construction business was going downhill, I had a number of partners. One left, and one had young kids, and we didn't have kids, so I let him take the business. The other partner took all kinds of our equipment and left. So I've learned a lot about partnerships over the years. Um, but after when everything went downhill, I figured if I'm going to be losing money or not making much money, the best thing I could do is do what I always wanted to do. And I grew up catering with some family friends, so it wasn't barbecue at all, but it was
But
catering.
you understood the business. How long did it take you where you were actually making a few bucks and could pay your bills and you felt comfortable?
Mm, a good 5 years probably until I was making enough where I felt like, yeah, I'm viable. Fortunately, my wife was making money
Okay,
at her job.
she had a
We
job,
got
so
by. Yeah,
gotcha. So that definitely it would have been infinitely harder if
100%.
you would have had to take on a second job and it would have been slower.
Yeah, these guys that just go out on their own and like jump into a food truck or something, like I give them a lot of credit. I don't know how they're making it personally.
So in the early years, how did you promote yourself?
I would say that the best thing I did was I joined local chambers of commerce. And over the years, what I learned is you can be a member of as many chambers of commerces that you want to pay for, but you have to work them. And so the best thing you can do is find one that you love and support it for a while. And I do think that they kind of fizzle out after a while
Yeah.
because their membership becomes stagnant sometimes. And so the best thing you can do is, pick one, work it for a couple years, show up. If you don't show your face, then that won't help. And then other business groups too that I'm a part of have helped me like become professionally better, but also I've gotten work from.
Yeah. So what other groups?
Well, like we have one in our town called Brighton Business Builders, and they've been fantastic, supporting us.
Is it like a referral group?
It is. Ours is a little less rigid than like a BNI,
Yeah.
because I feel like we're grown adults. If I can't come to the meeting today, if I'm paying my dues, you shouldn't have a
Right.
say about that. But
S-
there again, that's a personal preference.
Yeah, I definitely, if I look back over my business life, there's some people who are really good, through business groups. They're very good schmoozers, connectors. So somebody who's maybe not as good with that or needs some pointers, what would you recommend? Like how to connect with people and how to transition that into getting business?
I mean, you have to put yourself out there, and you got to be friendly, and you got to have good product where people talk about it. And when they do, then people want to approach you. And so to me, it's a whole package of how you look. A lot of times, of course, I'm not dressed up today, but it definitely is an image thing that you put forth, and you try to manage that throughout your relationship,
And Do
with
you,
work.
do you know Jack Cawthorn, Jack's Barbecue in Nashville?
I don't think so.
So I've known him forever. He was a friendly competitor when I first came to Nashville, and he's sort of like one of those old Southern gentlemen. You picture sipping a mint julep on the porch. He's always got a jacket or crisp shirt, and he's got that hat, the colonel hat, just perfect, and he's always put together. And when you talk about that, I think that's you know figure out what your branding is, right? My branding
Yeah,
is
and I even say
Lululemon.
that with our employees. We wear different shirts than some of the other, what I would call pit masters. I shouldn't even say what I would call. They are great pit masters, but they don't. You show up in a sleeveless shirt and you're sweating all over everything. It is an image breaker that some people won't ever get over enough to try your food, and it might be great food. But
Yeah,
like
if
I
it,
got taught by
Mike Mills,
Mike Mills. There it is.
dang.
Yep. I went to a number of his programs, and when he was alive, he was, sure he'd have a cigarette, but he always had a nice button-up shirt. All of his people were well represented. His equipment was clean, which I think is super important. Like, I'm kind of weirdly like, you eat with your eyes first, and it starts with your vehicles. I mean, to the tire shine on your vehicle, like I worry about stuff like that.
I've always said anything that touches a customer or prospect is marketing. And
Right.
like the tires, your parking lot, your bathrooms, and if you're showing up and you've got a sleeveless t-shirt and you're sweating bullets, I'm not feeling really good about eating your barbecue. And it could be the best, cleanest
Exactly.
barbecue on the planet, but there's a lot to be said for that, right? Your table
Yeah.
set up, and so how you answer your phones. I think a lot of people think that, oh, I got to buy a lot of ads on Instagram or Facebook, or I got to spend all this money. A lot of it is just anything that's going to touch the customer. What are you doing where they're like, oh, I want to work with this person? Like I remember when I moved to Nashville, I called all my competitors and nobody picked up the phone, or you'd get a voicemail. It's an answering service back then. That's how old I am. And it's like, well, if I can't get hold of you, I'm going to the next guy, right? So,
Right.
or, oh yeah, Dale's on the phone, call him back later. Well, why are you making me do the work? Let me get your name and number. Dale's talking with another catering client. When he gets off, I'll have him call you. I mean, it's just these little things that cost nothing to do have such a big impact.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it starts with your website, like for caterers, since I'm just an offsite caterer, it starts with your website. How easy is it to send you a message? And then how fast do you respond? Because you better believe if they contacted you, they're going to contact 3, 4 other people, which when I first started out was hard to find if you want a barbecue, you know? And
Yeah.
now I've got a guy on every corner and, I've seen some come and some go. I've advised restaurants in downtown Detroit that grew up to be a franchise and then just imploded one day, because they thought they could just grow like crazy. And, it is, you do have to pay attention to your marketing start to finish. Like our vehicles were wrapped to the point where it was annoying, it flames all over your vehicles, but that's what it took. And I can't tell you how many times I accidentally cut someone off and they called me and were like, first I was mad at you, but I do need a caterer, and we would do their wedding, and they realized, like, I'm not that guy, These things happen.
Who would ever thought that crappy driving would be a marketing tactic?
Well, when you're pulling these big smokers around everywhere, it's,
I'm
sometimes you
sure.
gotta get aggressive, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen these trucks on the road, report bad driving to whatever. Maybe put that on
Mhm.
one of your vehicles. If our driver drives bad, call 1-800 and whatever and get a free sandwich.
Right? My deal is, it's my cell number on all our vehicles. So if they call, I'm either in the heat of the moment and they're gonna call me, or they wait a little bit, and then I go, "Hey, I'm sorry, man, that was my bad."
Yeah.
You know, things happen.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so you started off, I'm guessing, you built those relationships, business started coming in. Did you do anything more formal after that to grow?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we started with Caters then, but it was called something else different maybe back then?
Restaurant, we started off as restaurant catering systems.
RCS, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
But you guys had such a great program that we started with that, and I embraced everything there. Like, we did your VIP programs, and we would do, like, our local home show and barbecue contest and get contacts and put them in our CRMs, and so we definitely do everything we can on a back end, and even when it's a little slow, I'm like, "It's time for a drip campaign," and it always shakes something out of the bush, right?
Yeah.
And we probably aren't as diligent nowadays as we used to be,
Obviously
but
you're getting fat and happy and you could be down in Florida.
mm,
You don't need the money as much, and that happens, but you know,
I wouldn't say that, but yeah,
well, I get it. But
yeah,
I would say one of the things I don't see people do is sending an email every month to your list. There's always a
yeah.
reason to be in front of people just so they remember you, right?
We we did one last month, and we got someone that said, "Look, I don't have anything coming up, but I recommended a wedding person to you." And sure enough, they called. So,
Okay.
and that's my training to our salespeople is like, stay in front of people's faces all the time.
So how much is that wedding going to be worth
It'll probably be a few $1,000, you know,
for sending out an email? That
right?
costs
That
nothing. Costs nothing.
costs nothing.
Yes.
Costs nothing. And
Bill,
what if it's two? What if we didn't even get that feedback, but it actually happened? Or, we've gotten corporate stuff over the years. I did spend about a year where I hired a telemarketer to just go through lists
yeah.
and try to get us corporate work,
And how did that work?
and that worked okay. I think for the money, I don't, a lot of what you do in that is a pipeline, right? It's
Right.
like putting your thumb over a hose, I think is a good
Yeah.
analogy. It backs up, and then it just takes off. And so that's one of those things you're investing in that, in my opinion.
It,
You got to take the time to let it work. You can't just go, "Oh, I tried this 1 month and I didn't hear anything again."
no, it's definitely an investment in time and energy, and obviously everything else has to be good. Your product, your service has to be good.
Sure,
But I think the biggest mistake that I see people making is they don't think about the lifetime value of a customer.
sure.
So, that telemarketer picks up a corporation, they could be worth $3,000 a year for you for 10 years.
Yeah,
That's that's like an annuity, right? Or
we
you
we have this one customer. It's 1,000 people, which is, the last few times they wanted brisket, so it was a decent amount of money, you know,
right.
for a one-day event. And you're calling your friends, family, brothers and sisters to help you on this job. But they tried us for a couple of years, we're happy, and then they had new people come in. They tried somebody else, and they hired us back the next couple of years in a row, so
Uh,
that one thing right there, like, if you had one of those every week even, most people could only work on that.
right. Well, the key is a lot of people would have dropped their price and their quality, and then they would have eventually lost it. So it's better to have your integrity and go, hey, this is the lane I play in. I'm not gonna. This is what you're paying for. If you want crap, then just go to some
Go to GFS and
get
their stuff, and you warm it up.
exactly. I mean, there's always someplace cheaper to get it, but is it going to
Yeah.
be good?
My goal is to never be the low cost provider. I'm just not. I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to live by
We have to
price,
do
die price,
so much volume, which
and
we learned in that contract with the state of Michigan.
yeah,
It's low cost, but it's 1,000 head a day. But then that's 30 people working for you instead of 10 or 15, and then that's another whole part of the issue. There's buying and there's price increases. Like, you have to find your sweet spot
yeah,
for sure.
definitely. And this wedding, how many people are you going to feed at that wedding that could book other weddings, graduation parties, Super Bowl parties, whatever it is? So
We've done a number of graduation parties where we've also done their engagement parties, their wedding. Like,
it's almost like
a lot that can go
I
into
had
it.
a bartending service in college, and we were almost like part of some people's families. Like they bring us back for
Yeah,
lots of different things, and then it's there's a lot of people who can cook good barbecue, but then I have a relationship with Dale, right? I know him, I like him, I've
right.
met his wife.
Solid food.
Yeah, and if I need something, I can call him up, and I feel like I got an in, and there's a lot to say about those relationships and maintaining those, and um,
I
anything
agree.
anything else that you've done to build sales over the years?
I think wrapping the trucks was crucial. Everything that goes out, any kind of marketing you can do as far as branding, it helps. People know me in my area, even though there's 20 other people. And then your front office has got to be great. Like, we have my wife and another employee that's fantastic, and they are all over everything that comes in. And so people don't shop around because it's not like, hey, I'll get you a quote, I'll be right back. No, they sit down right then and there, knock it out, and then follow up.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference. That makes a
Yeah.
that makes a big difference when you're not having to chase somebody for a quote and it's in your inbox in 2 seconds. Again, all these things are perception is like, okay, if you're going to take care of me as a prospect, I know you're going to take care of me when the event comes because you're on top of things.
And then because you have all of that in a system, like, I can run reports and say, well, are we bidding as much as we did last year? Where are we at? Are we high? Are we low? Well, last January we made $100 less than we made this year, but it felt differently this year.
Right.
But you have actual facts. So I'm well, I love barbecue. Love the business of running barbecue business.
Yeah. I
And
I
I have a whole line of sauces and that I created. Like, I used to have product that was made and packaged, and we put it out through like your Cisco's and
yeah.
stuff. I went down that road. That's way less money for all of the heartache for it.
Yeah, I think you have to hit it big for it to be profitable. I mean, it's a
100%
volume, it's a big volume thing.
national.
Yeah. Do you is part of your marketing program to give back in the community?
We always give back in different ways. Um, we do a lot of stuff at a discount for certain people,
Yeah.
but I have gotten to the point where 1,000 people ask you for something for free, and I'm running a business here.
Yeah.
And so if it's something that I can get back from them, maybe it's because I'm feeding a bunch of kids that are seniors and they might, turn around and then book up me for a party. I'm all for listening to it, but I'm kind of done with the people that just want the free stuff. Like, I
Yeah,
just want you to give me something for free.
I think it either needs to be something that's near and dear to your heart because it's something, if you had a loved one die of cancer, you might decide that that's your thing that you want to support because it's something that's near and dear to your heart,
Yeah.
or your
So,
kid's school or ball team.
right. Which we never had kids. I know one of the first things I ever supported was a rugby club, which I've never even seen a rugby game, but the kid worked for me at a pizza store I had. So
Yeah.
and I still have those pictures hanging on my tool chest,
Oh,
like,
that's cool. That's cool.
so I thought,
Have you ever heard of Herbert's Barbecue in Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville? They're not a
no,
lot. They're not around anymore. So when I moved to Nashville, the first thing you do is you go check out all your competitors. People say, "Oh, this is good and that's good," and his barbecue is just okay. There's nothing great about it, but he made corn light bread, which is like I don't know what it is. It's basically like a loaf of cornbread, and they slice it up, and people love it. I mean, it's fine. It's good. And I remember somebody telling me that Mr. Herbert, and he was at the time I was, mid 20s. Mr. Herbert was very well connected in the Franklin community. So Franklin's a bedroom community of Nashville, even though it's sort of Nashville, but it's its own little ecosystem and world. And when you grow up in a small town, because I mean, if he's older, he was there when it was probably like that little town on Back to the Future. Like hardly anybody
yep,
there. Everybody goes to the town square. Everybody knows everybody. And so he would read the obituaries, and if Dale Lockwood's dad died, he'd show up at the visitation with a pound of barbecue and some beans and slaw, and go, "Hey Dale, loved your dad. So
yeah,
sorry." Well, who the hell are you going to use? I mean, that's pretty
yeah,
strong marketing when you're
that's
connecting on
strong.
that. Uh, 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 you know, I think you have to be authentic. He was an authentic person. He didn't do it as, like a
He did it
tactic.
as community.
Yeah, he was basically honoring the people in the community he had a relationship with, and he probably, again, you grow up in a small town. Like, my fiance lives in a town of 800. Everybody knows everybody. So if that alone is probably the best if you're living in a small community, is giving back to your neighbors when they go through something difficult, because they're going to remember you when things are good. Who came over when dad died and brought us a couple pounds of barbecue, or brought mom some barbecue and mac and cheese and whatever? It was nice. She had a meal in the freezer and she didn't have to cook or worry about it. You're going to remember that. Even if the other guy's cheaper, maybe his barbecue's a little bit better. Who cares? This guy took care of us. I'll deal with it.
Yep, yeah. And we did a lot of that, especially over COVID,
Yeah.
because there was no money coming in. We really hustled to try to use our CRM to take care of the hospitals and stuff. So almost every day we fed a hospital in the Detroit area, um, a police station, and a fire station. And it was amazing how many companies came out that maybe had done one job with us, but they're like, "Hey, let me give you $500." Well, that's $1,000 order,
Yeah.
and we would go feed them. And I know it meant a lot. I even had kids from school that I grew up with. Their daughter worked at a hospital in downtown Detroit. They're like, "Can you take it to their wing and feed
Yeah.
them?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like it. It definitely helps.
So did you go to your database and say, "Hey, would you like to sponsor a meal for a first responder?" Is that the way it worked?
Yeah. Database, Facebook. We took the donations, and then we were very transparent about if we're gonna, take $1,000. I was right from the front going, if we say we're taking 1,000 and we're gonna give 1,000, that there should be paperwork. And the beautiful part about us caters then was it's easy to do all that.
For sure.
When you have a record of payment.
And do you have any sales in your background?
Yeah, when I had my construction business, that was my part of the ownership is I did all of the sales
Where'd you learn selling?
and marketing. Zig Ziglar.
So you're old school.
Yeah, kind of. I when I didn't. I never thought I was a salesperson, but when I look back, even in high school, I did some power washing. Well, I went out and got a bunch of accounts because I wanted more work. And then I went to work for a company that did hot tubs and spas. And so I worked the garden shows and the local fairs. And
So it's
I didn't
sort of,
realize I was learning as much as I did back then, but
yeah.
I
And
did.
I just interviewed someone this morning and we were talking about sales. The most successful people I see in any business are the guys that know how to sell. And when I say selling, I don't think selling is like Zig Ziglar sells anymore. It's more, I'm an educator and a consultant.
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish? What's your budget? I'm going to tell you if I can help you out or
Let
not.
me help you.
I'm not out there just to try to get every dime out of you. I'm here to work with you. And there's been times I've downsold people, whether it's our software or
Sure.
selling catering. It's like, hey, you really don't need this much food. You've got way too much food. I'd cut this out. And, they appreciate that. Or, hey,
And vice versa if you do it from an honest spot. You
yeah,
say, look, I don't think you're ordering the right amount of stuff here for your people.
yeah, I think authenticity, you can't buy that, right? And people appreciate it because even I've told people, I go, look, I'm not a good fit for you, what you're trying to accomplish. You need to go over here. They're going to do a better job for the budget you have. I can't do that. And then they come back later when they do have the budget or they send somebody else. And so you can't put a price on that. But back to the sales thing, that is the number one skill you can teach your kids, your employees, or somebody starting a business is if you don't know how to sell, you better have a partner or somebody who really knows how to sell or you're dead in the water. Because nothing happens until you sell.
Yeah, I had a local competitor to call me, and his daughter-in-law works for me. And then he decided he wanted to retire and do barbecue, and he's doing fantastic. And he's like, "Well, what can you tell me?" And I'm like, "Well, if you ask specific questions, I'll answer them, but I'm not gonna give you my whole playbook."
Right.
So I said, "We're in the same circles, every day." I said, "The one thing I'll tell you is the best thing you can do is learn how to market, how to work Facebook and Instagram and all of those things." And I gotta say, he does a way better job than I do, but after 20 years of being in business, I just don't we're kind of allowing the website and everything, to come to us.
Well, you probably need to hire an 18-year-old and they could do it in their sleep.
Probably, probably.
That's the way to do it. It's crazy.
Maybe that's this summer.
Yeah, just go find somebody's got a good teenager. I mean, all these kids are so proficient at social media.
Yeah.
Don't even deal it yourself. Just hire some kid. They're on their computers all day long anyway and phones. So if they can get paid to do what they're doing anyway, that's a great.
And over
great-
the years, I have done that at times, like when we had a little extra money, I would always throw it at marketing
Yeah,
one way or another, whether it's wrapping a truck or whether it's, um, I guess that's more advertising than marketing, but the, we've tried a number of different things, like some many chat things that would drive, engagement and things.
yeah,
We had some great business coaches over the years that kind of kept us in the front of that industry.
nice.
And so,
So I tend to like to focus on sales and marketing because operations is, in a lot of ways, it's personal. Like you're going to cook a brisket the way you cook it. And even if you tell me exactly how you cook it, it's not my brisket. I'm not going to cook it the same way. And
yeah,
it's a very personal thing, but there are operational standards or whatever. So someone's listening, maybe just getting started, or maybe they've been in it for a long time. Are there any tips operationally that you would tell people like, hey, here's some things that we do that I think makes a difference in producing a catered event?
I can tell you when we started growing a lot faster, we've grown every year,
Yeah.
but the best years we did is when we started to um, put everything in writing, every recipe, because I got to tell you, if you get a low income person, they made coleslaw 50 times, but they had a rough night the night before, but they showed up for work,
Yeah.
but then they did it wrong. That's a problem. But if you give them a recipe with pictures Like we show them the bag of coleslaw, or we show them the head of coleslaw, and
Right.
then the blender that you're gonna. Like
Right.
we get it. So we break it down. So we do that, and then we had this coaching system over the last few years where we also have put what we call a grid out, and what's expected, how you can be a good employee and a great employee, and what's not acceptable. And so when things went wrong, it didn't have to be like the owner just yelled at me. I walk them over to the grid and I say, "This is where you failed. Did I train you properly?" And so I always look at me first. I say, "Did I train them? Do I know?" So our deal is like train them, watch them do it, and then expect them to follow through. And they've always got the paperwork on the back end. Um, so those are it's taken a long time. That is investment in the front office and pictures and also writing the recipes. I might write it and I understand it totally, but will the next person do it? So when we write them, we have 2 or 3 different people execute it
to make
and
sure
make sure
there's
that it's done right.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, I think it was Michael Gerber, author of the email, talked about systematizing your business, and I'm definitely a big systems person. But a theme, and I don't want to end this podcast without pointing out, you basically told me along the way, you brought in consultants, you learned from Zig Ziglar. It sounds like you've been a lifelong learner, and the things
Yeah.
like you've learned and you've adapted. And I think that's one of the things that's helped me out is learning from other people, whether they're peers, coaches, consultants. Sometimes it's just an article. It could be a story on, Facebook, a post on Facebook or something. Nobody knows everything, but there's somebody who knows what you need to know
Yeah.
and can
I
make
mean,
it
it's the
easier
same
for you.
thing spiritually. You never stop reading the Bible because you read it once, right? You have to put yourself into business and whatever's happening out there so that you can be the best you that you can be in that moment. Because it's something you might have learned a long time ago. Either it doesn't apply as much or applies, but you weren't applying it that way back then.
Right.
So you kind of have to keep furthering yourself for sure.
For sure. And I think that's what separates, the winners from the losers, so to speak. So, any other tips that you want to share or bits of wisdom before we wrap this up?
Treat everybody good. If you pay bananas, you're going to get monkeys. So
I like
be
that.
proud of what one of my first business coaches told me that, because that's the first thing we looked at. Can they afford to work? So you try and then you push them a little bit more, but that's where your profit comes in.
Right.
And so just treat everybody right. You eat with your eyes first and do the best you can.
Well,
Market,
good.
market.
Absolutely. Hey, Dale, I appreciate you being on here. Great,
My pleasure.
great gems that you shared with everybody, and I hope you enjoy your time in Florida and
Yeah, man.
stay warm.
Thanks for letting us be part of Caterers Empire.
Yeah, thanks for being
great
part of
system.
it. Thanks. We appreciate that. We work
Couldn't have
hard.
done without it.
Thanks.
Bye now.
You've been listening to Barbecue Catering Smarts, where we bring you the best ideas, stories, and strategies from across the barbecue catering industry. We hope today's episode sparked new insights to help you refine your systems, elevate your customer experience, and grow your catering profits. For more episodes and insights, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time.